Hi, I'm Jim Prues, and welcome to this week's edition of World 5.0 Weekly Update. I'm kind of excited because both hemp and marijuana are in the news. Of course, the two plants are cousins, but no one confused them until William Randolph Hearst, with his yellow press 100 years ago, decided to demonize both for his own personal advantage. Surprise. But now, Senator Rand Paul has introduced a bill that would make the production of industrial hemp legal. This could be a fabulous boon not only to Kentucky but for localism everywhere, since hemp is easily grown and can be used to create thousands of products. Henry Ford's first automobile prototypes featured hemp bodies and ran on hemp oil. It's that good, it's that versatile. This week, Kentucky's other senator, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, gave his support, making it far more likely that something really happens along this front. At the same time, members of Congress introduced historic legislation to permit the regulated production and retail sales of cannabis to adults in states that have legalized its consumption. Of course, Colorado and Oregon top this list, where it's legal for recreational use. Representative Jared Polis is sponsoring legislation that seeks to regulate marijuana in a manner similar to alcohol. Separate legislation to be introduced by Representative Earl Blumenauer seeks to establish a federal tax structure for retail cannabis production and sales. Newsflash, the reintroduction of hemp into our culture could have profound effects. It is, after all, the very first plant we humans cultivated many thousands of years ago, and not without reason. According to a new report by the Congressional Research Service, the federal prison population has jumped from 25,000 to 219,000 inmates over the past 30 years, an increase of nearly 800%. The United States incarcerates far more people than any other country in the world. Corrections Corporation of America, the largest prison corporation in the world and a predator in its own right, must feel just terrible about this. This is one of the major human rights problems within the United States, as many of the people caught up in the criminal justice system are low-income and ethnic minorities often forgotten by society. The largest number is for relatively paltry drug offenses. In January of this year, CCA sent a letter to 48 states, many of them strapped for cash, and offered to buy their state prisons and enter a 20-year contract with them. This was done under the persistent ruse that private prisons can run cheaper than state prisons, even though just about every study has proven that that's bullshit. Well, you permanent war advocates in our government, congratulations. The suicide rate for soldiers is now higher than the actual death rate due to war. The suicide rate is about 22 per day. Is that registering? 22 men and women who can't face another day knowing what they've done, how they've ruined themselves and countless others in the name of liberty? The emotional toil is unimaginable. But of course, it's not freedom they served, but empire and corporate interests. Major General Smedley Butler with the USMC had this to say in the early 30s after his career. I spent 33 years as a member of this country's most agile military force, the Marine Corps. And during that period, I spent most of my time as a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and the bankers. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenues in. I helped the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for the American sugar interests in 1916. I helped make the Honduras safe for the American fruit companies in 1903. And in China in 1927, I helped to see it that Standard Oil went on its way unmolested. In short, I was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism. Great. World 5.0 is the most powerful idea of our time. It is based on three simple truths. First, that life exists only in this moment, here and now. This is reality. Second, that here the most powerful thing is our intent, and it is here where we should be focused. And third, only love makes us happy. Pretty simple stuff. It's World 5 because we've had 4 previous operating systems: hunter-gatherer, agrarian, medieval, and industrial ages. Even though in many ways it feels like we're still stuck in the industrial age with a corrupt and dysfunctional system, but that's just the old world having a little trouble letting go. World 5 has been hinted at since the 1960s, when young folk proclaimed that they no longer wanted a world of inequality, war, and foolish beliefs. We wanted a world where love rules. Finally, now, with the end of the old age ending just a few weeks back on 12/21/12, we enter a new age of peace and love with the awakening that we're all here together. In truth, World 5.0 is but another name for what many have already spoken of, the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the great turning, the shift, and so on. It is marked by a holistic approach, an empathy, and a recognition of this human family that we share. Now, even as corporations and governments continue their psychopathic behaviors and mean-spirited policies, we are seeing new shoots of this new cultural OS springing up everywhere. The local and organic food movement, alternative energies, young folks who relish their uniqueness instead of fearing their differences, a new focus on communities, the reintroduction of hemp. The list is long. Finally, we see ourselves as all here together. Finally, we understand that fear is the enemy, and that death is inevitable and nothing to be feared. Indeed, death is lighter than a feather. It's living that's the challenge. So join us, awaken to peace, engage with your family and communities, live in integrity, take a stand against the old broken world. Join us as we move onward, even as we stay here. This weekend marks the first 513 Jubilee event to be held at Beans and Grapes in Pleasant Ridge on Montgomery Road. This two-day event intends to bring together like-minded community members to focus on co-creating a new, innovative community model for a dynamic local food and product marketplace. We are enthusiastically looking forward to introducing and discussing this new model. That's our show this week. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Peace out. It's nice here.